Admiral Zefkar stood on the bridge of the Crimson Dominance, watching Earth's blue marble slowly rotate before them. The planet looked peaceful, almost primitive compared to the technological marvels of the Veltar Empire. No orbital defense platforms, no massive space stations, just a few small satellites drifting lazily around the world. "This is almost too easy," muttered Commander Velnash, examining the tactical display. Their entire military force consists of crude chemical rockets and metal projectiles. "We could conquer this world with a single battle cruiser." The Admiral nodded, but something nagged at him. 3 months ago, the Empire had received an unusual transmission from this backwater system. It wasn't a plea for mercy or an offer of surrender, as they typically receive from primitive worlds. Instead, it was a warning. The message had been simple and direct to the Veltar Empire. "This is Earth speaking. We know you're coming. Turn back now. This is your only warning. We don't want to fight, but we will if we must." The audacity had amused the High Command. A species that hadn't even achieved faster-than-light travel was threatening the greatest military force in the galaxy. It was laughable. The Empire controlled over 3,000 star systems and had never lost a single military engagement. "Sir, we're receiving another transmission from the planet," reported Communications Officer THSSL. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a human male in what appeared to be a simple military uniform. He had graying hair and tired eyes, but his voice carried absolute conviction. "This is General Marcus Thompson, speaking for the United Earth Defense Council. I see your fleet has arrived despite our warning. I'm going to make this very clear, Admiral. You have 12 hours to leave our solar system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war." Laughter echoed across the bridge. The human continued speaking as if he couldn't hear them. "I know you think we're primitive. I know you think this will be easy. You're making a terrible mistake. Humanity has spent the last 6 months preparing for your arrival. We've studied your tactics, your weapons, your ships. We know exactly what you're capable of." Commander Velnash leaned forward. "How could they possibly know our capabilities? They don't even have interstellar communication." The human on the screen seemed to hear the question. "You're wondering how we know so much about you. The answer is simple. We've been watching. We've been listening. We've been learning. For the past 50 years, we've known about your empire. We've seen what you do to worlds that resist." Admiral Zefkar felt a chill run down his spine. That was impossible. Their intelligence networks would have detected any surveillance. 3 days ago, your advanced scouts entered our system," the human continued. "They thought they were being clever, hiding in the asteroid belt. We let them think that. We wanted them to report back that Earth was defenseless. But, Admiral, we've been watching them watch us." The tactical display suddenly showed red dots appearing throughout the asteroid belt. Dozens of them. The sensors had somehow missed an entire hidden fleet. "Those scouts you sent? They're not going home. We've been jamming their communications since they arrived. Your High Command thinks they're still observing us. They have no idea what's really happening here." The general stepped closer to his camera, his expression deadly serious. "You see, Admiral, humanity has a saying, 'Don't start a fight you can't finish.' We didn't want this conflict, but your empire has been conquering and enslaving worlds for 3 centuries. Someone had to say no. Someone had to draw a line in the sand." The screen showed images of destroyed worlds, refugee camps, and broken civilizations, all victims of Veltar expansion. "We've been in contact with the resistance movements on a dozen of your conquered worlds. We know about the slave labor camps on Zirion Prime. We know about the resource stripping on Caldor 7. We know about the genocide on Thraxis." Admiral Zipkar's mandibles clicked nervously. Those operations were classified at the highest levels. Every ship you send to Earth is one less ship defending your supply lines. Every soldier you commit to this battle is one fewer to suppress the rebellions that are about to begin. Admiral, you're not just invading Earth. You're walking into the center of a web that's been 3 years in the making. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Outside the viewports, Earth continued its peaceful rotation, giving no hint of the storm that was apparently brewing beneath its innocent exterior. "Sir," whispered the communications officer, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the lunar surface. Whatever they've built there, it's powering up. Admiral Zefkar stared at the small blue world that had just threatened the mightiest empire in the galaxy. For the first time in his career, he wondered if they had made a terrible miscalculation. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, Dr. Sarah Chun stood before the most advanced piece of technology humanity had ever created. The quantum entanglement communication array hummed with barely contained energy, its crystalline cores pulsing with an otherworldly light. Confirmation received from Kepler Station, announced her assistant, Dr. Rodriguez. The Veltar fleet has taken the bait. They're positioning for orbital bombardment, just as predicted. Sarah nodded grimly. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. When humanity first detected the approaching Veltar scouts, every government on Earth had finally united under a single terrifying truth. They were not alone, and they were not safe. Begin Phase 2, she commanded. Across the solar system, hidden installations came to life. On Mars, what the aliens had dismissed as simple mining operations revealed their true purpose. Massive railgun batteries emerged from beneath the red soil, their barrels gleaming with exotic metals that didn't exist in a Veltar database. The asteroid belt told its own story. What looked like natural space rocks were actually hollowed-out weapons platforms, equipped with fusion torpedoes and gravity well generators. Humanity had spent 2 decades secretly mining and weaponizing every piece of debris in their solar system. But the real surprise waited on Luna. Commander Elena Vasquez watched through her helmet visor as the moon's surface began to split open like a mechanical flower. Beneath the ancient lunar rock lay humanity's greatest secret, a fully operational fleet of warships. Phoenix Squadron, this is Luna Base. You are cleared for launch. One by one, sleek vessels emerged from the lunar underground. They didn't look like human technology. The ships were too smooth, too advanced, their hulls shimmering with energy fields that bent light around them. Admiral, you're seeing this too, right? Elena spoke into her comm, knowing that Admiral Sarah Patterson was watching from Earth's orbital command station. I see it, Commander. 3 years of reverse engineering alien technology, and we finally get to test it in the field. The truth was more complex than the Veltar could imagine. 50 years ago, humanity had made first contact, not with the Empire, but with their refugees. The Kalthra were a peaceful species that had fled Veltar conquest, arriving in damaged ships with nothing but warnings and knowledge. From them, humans learned about the Empire's tactics, their weaknesses, and, most importantly, their technology. In secret underground facilities across Earth, human engineers had worked day and night to adapt alien science to human ingenuity. The result was a hybrid technology that even the Kalthra found impressive. Luna Base to Phoenix Leader. Your ships are ready for combat. Remember, our goal isn't just to win this battle. We need to send a message to every world in the Empire that the Veltar can be defeated. Elena's ship, the UES Defiance, responded to her thoughts as much as her controls. The neural interface was purely human innovation, something the aliens had never developed. It gave human pilots a reaction time that even enhanced Veltar warriors couldn't match. Back in the Swiss facility, Dr. Chun monitored the quantum communications network. Across dozens of star systems, resistance cells were receiving real-time updates of the battle. Every successful strike against the Empire would be broadcast instantly, proving that victory was possible. Dr. Chun were receiving a priority transmission from the Andromedans, Dr. Rodriguez reported. She opened the channel, and the image of Ambassador Krethok appeared. The tall, crystalline being looked relieved. Dr. Chun, our monitoring stations confirm the Veltar fleet is moving into position. Are your people ready? More than ready, Ambassador. How many resistance movements are standing by? 17 star systems are prepared to begin simultaneous uprisings. The moment your defense proves successful, rebellions will erupt across the Empire's outer territories. Sarah smiled grimly. The Andromedans have been fighting a slow, careful war against the Empire for decades. When they learned that humans were preparing for a direct confrontation, they offered to coordinate a galaxy-wide resistance movement. And the Kalthra refugees, every ship they have is moving into position around Veltar supply depots. Admiral Velthara sends his regards and reminds you that his people have been waiting 30 years for this moment. Through her window, Sarah could see the Veltar fleet beginning its attack formation. Their massive dreadnoughts looked impossibly powerful, bristling with weapons that could crack a planet's crust. But looks could be deceiving. All stations, this is command. The enemy is taking the bait. Remember, let them think they're winning at first. We want their entire attention focused on Earth when we reveal our true capabilities. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Patterson watched the alien fleet approach. Her own ships were hidden behind a cloaking field that the Calthra had helped develop. The Veltar sensors would see nothing but empty space until it was too late. Ma'am, enemy fleet is in optimal position. Should we begin? Patterson thought about her daughter, safe in the underground bunkers below. She thought about the billions of people counting on them to succeed. Most of all, she thought about every world the Empire had destroyed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Admiral Patterson. Today, humanity doesn't just fight for Earth. We fight for every civilization that ever dared to resist tyranny. We fight to prove that freedom is stronger than conquest. She opened a channel to the approaching fleet. Admiral Zefkar, this is your final warning. Leave our system now, or face the consequences. The alien response was predictable. Weapons charging, attack formations tightening. Patterson smiled coldly. They had no idea what was about to hit them. All ships decloak and engage. Show them what humanity can do. The first salvo from the Veltar fleet lit up the dark space around Earth like artificial stars. Plasma beams and graviton torpedoes streaked toward what they thought were defenseless human orbital installations. Admiral Zefkar watched with satisfaction as his weapons found their targets. Then, the explosions faded, and his satisfaction turned to confusion. Impossible, Breted commandé Velnash. Our sensors show direct hits, but the structures are still intact. The human orbital platforms shimmered like mirages, their surfaces rippling with energy field that seemed to absorb and redirect the Imperial weapons. What the Veltar didn't know was that each platform was protected by experimental shield technology that fed off incoming energy, growing stronger with each attack. Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system, reported the sensor operator, her voice rising with alarm. Something's happening on the lunar surface. Admiral Zefkar turned his attention to Earth's moon just as its surface began to crack open. What emerged defied everything the Empire knew about human technology. Sleek warships rose from hidden bays, their hulls gleaming with the same energy fields that protected the orbital platforms. How is this possible? Zipkar demanded. Our intelligence indicated they barely achieved nuclear technology. The answer came in the form of a transmission from one of the human ships. A young woman's face appeared on screen, her eyes blazing with determination. Admiral Zefkar, I'm Commander Elena Vasquez of the U.S. Defiance. You're looking at 50 years of human engineering, combined with technology from species your empire tried to exterminate. Today, you learn what happens when the galaxy unites against tyranny. The human ships moved unlike anything in the Imperial fleet. They twisted and spun through space with impossible agility, their pilots somehow anticipating Veltar targeting systems before weapons could lock on. What Zefkar couldn't see were the neural interfaces that connected human minds directly to their ships, creating a symbiosis that alien technology couldn't replicate. All ships, focus fire on the lead human vessel, Zefkar commanded. Dozens of plasma cannons swiveled toward the U.S. Defiance. Elena smiled grimly as her ship's AI showed her the incoming fire patterns. Through her neural link, she thought the ship into a spiraling dive that took her below the firing arc, while simultaneously launching a spread of fusion torpedoes. The torpedoes didn't just explode against the Veltar shields. Each one contained a small quantity of strange matter that created cascading failures in the alien energy barriers. One by one, Imperial shields began collapsing. Impossible, Velnash shouted. Our shields are rated against stellar-class weapons. Not against this. Elena's voice crackled through their communications. Humanity learned something from our refugee friends. Your shields work perfectly against energy weapons, but they have a critical flaw when exposed to exotic matter reactions. The battle erupted across the solar system as hidden human forces revealed themselves. In the asteroid belt, weapons platforms that had masqueraded as mining operations opened fire with railguns that accelerated projectiles to near-light speed. The kinetic strikes punched through Veltar armor like paper. On Mars, massive defense batteries emerged from beneath the planet's surface. These weren't human weapons at all, but Calfer technology that had been carefully maintained for 30 years. The crystalline beam weapons carved through Imperial destroyers with surgical precision. But the real shock came when space itself began to twist. Admiral, we're detecting gravitational anomalies throughout the system, the sensor operator reported, her voice now tinged with fear. Something's manipulating space-time. Hidden throughout the solar system were gravity well generators, another gift from the Andromedans. When activated simultaneously, they created a web of spatial distortions that trapped the Imperial fleet in an increasingly constricted area. We're caught in some kind of gravitational net, Velnash realized. Our ships can't maneuver. Admiral Zefkar watched in growing horror as a superior fleet was systematically dismantled by opponents who should have been helpless primitives. Every tactical doctrine, every strategic principle the Empire had developed over centuries of conquest was proving useless. Sir, we're receiving reports from across the battle zone, Communications Officer HYSSL announced. The humans have some kind of instantaneous communication system. They're coordinating attacks across millions of kilometers with perfect timing. The quantum entanglement network was indeed providing humans with an advantage the Veltar had never encountered. Every ship, every platform, every weapon battery was connected in real time, allowing for tactical coordination that bordered on telepathic. But Admiral Patterson, commanding the defense from her flagship, knew the real battle was just beginning. The Veltar were powerful and experienced. Shock and surprise would only carry humanity so far. All ships begin Phase 3, she commanded. Show them our secret weapon. Throughout the human fleet, cargo bays opened to reveal something that made even the Kalthra allies pause in amazement. Swarms of small craft emerged, each one piloted by human volunteers who had undergone extensive genetic and cybernetic modification. These were the children of Earth, humans who had volunteered to be enhanced with technology from every allied species. They could survive in hard vacuum, think at computer speeds, and pilot their one-person fighters with inhuman precision. My God, whispered Ambassador Krethok from his observation post. They've created super soldiers. Elena watched through her neural link as hundreds of these enhanced humans engaged the Veltar fighter squadrons. The Imperial pilots were skilled and experienced, but they were fighting opponents who had literally transcended normal human limitations. Admiral Zefkar, Elena transmitted, you wanted to know how humanity survived your advanced scouts. The answer is simple. We didn't just prepare for war. We evolved for it. The enhanced human fighters moved through space like living missiles, their modified bodies able to withstand accelerations that would kill normal pilots. They struck at Veltar fighters with weapons that adapted in real time to enemy defenses. Zefkar realized with growing dread that his fleet was not just losing. They were being systematically destroyed by an enemy that had turned preparation into an art form. Send a message to the High Command, he ordered quietly. Tell them we need immediate reinforcement. Tell them humanity is not what we expected. But, as his communications officer tried to comply, she discovered something that filled the Admiral with cold terror. Sir, our long-range communications are being jammed. We can't contact the Empire. The trap was complete. 3 light-years away from the battle raging in the Sol system, Admiral Kethmora of the Veltar Third Fleet received a transmission that made his blood run cold. The message came not from Admiral Zefkar's doomed expedition, but from the resistance movement on Zirian Prime. To all Imperial forces, this is the Free Zirian Coalition. We know your main fleet is trapped at Earth. Your supply lines are undefended. Your garrison forces are scattered. Today, we take back our world. Similar messages erupted across the Empire's communication networks. On 17 different worlds, resistance movements launched coordinated uprisings. The careful timing was no coincidence. Every rebel leader was connected to Earth's quantum communication network, receiving real-time updates on humanity's battle. Dr. Chun watched the data stream from her facility beneath the Swiss Alps. Each successful human strike against the Veltar fleet triggered pre-planned rebellions across the galaxy. The psychological effect was devastating to Imperial morale and inspiring to every enslaved world. Reports coming in from all sectors Dr. Rodriguez announced. Andromedans are hitting supply convoys in the Rigel sector. Calthra exile fleets are engaging garrison forces around Vega. The Thraxians have retaken their orbital shipyards. But the real surprise was yet to come. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Zefkar's fleet was in full retreat, or trying to be. The gravitational web still held most of his ships in place, and human forces were methodically destroying any vessel that attempted to break free. His flagship, the Crimson Dominance, had lost 3 of its 4 main engines and most of its weapon systems. Admiral, Commander Volnash, spoke quietly. We're receiving a transmission on an old Imperial frequency. It's using authentication codes from the First War. Zipkat frowned. The First War had ended over 2 centuries ago. Those codes should have been meaningless. The main screen flickered to life, revealing a figure that sent shock waves through the Imperial command crew. Admiral Velthara stood before them, but he wasn't wearing Imperial colors. His uniform bore the insignia of the Calthra exile fleet. Greetings, Admiral Zipkar. I am Admiral Velthara, formerly of the Imperial Fourth Fleet, now commanding the Free Calthra Navy. The revelation hit like a physical blow. Velthara had been one of the Empire's greatest war heroes before his mysterious disappearance 30 years earlier. You're supposed to be dead, Zefkar whispered. The Empire declared me dead when I refused to participate in the genocide of the Calthra homeworld. I've spent 3 decades building a coalition to oppose Imperial tyranny. Today, that coalition strikes back. Around the Sol system, previously undetected ships began decloaking. They weren't human vessels, but sleek Calthra warships that had been hiding in the outer reaches of the system. The exile fleet had been waiting for this moment for 3 decades. You see, Admiral, humanity did more than just prepare for war. They gave us hope. When the Calthra refugees reached Earth 50 years ago, we expected to find another primitive world that would eventually fall to the Empire. Instead, we found partners who believed that freedom was worth fighting for. Elena Vasquez listened to the transmission from her battle-damaged fighter. The UES Defiance had taken heavy fire protecting the orbital platforms, but her neural interface allowed her to continue fighting despite injuries that would have incapacitated a normal pilot. All human forces, this is Admiral Patterson. Phase 4 is now in effect. Show them what happens when the galaxy unites. Throughout the solar system, the final phase of humanity's plan began. Hidden deep in the asteroid belt were the galaxy's most wanted criminals, political prisoners, escaped slaves, and freedom fighters from dozens of worlds. Earth had spent years secretly extracting them from Imperial territory and training them for this moment. This is Colonel Thekran of the Free Thraxis Brigade, announced a reptilian alien over the communication channels. Our homeworld was destroyed by Imperial mining operations. Today, we claim our vengeance. Free Xerian Squadron reporting. Our families died in Imperial labor camps. We fight for their memory. Andromedan Liberation Fleet standing by. The Empire thought they had broken us. They were wrong. Admiral Zefkar realized with growing horror that Earth had become the center of a galaxy-wide conspiracy against the Empire. Every species the Veltar had conquered, enslaved, or destroyed had somehow found their way to this insignificant system and joined humanity's cause. Sir, Communications Officer Titra Sissel reported, her voice shaking. We're detecting massive fleet movements throughout Imperial space. The 3rd, 7th, and 9th fleets are under attack by unknown forces. The quantum communication network was providing real-time coordination across thousands of light years. As human forces proved that the Empire could be defeated, resistance movements everywhere launched their own operations. Dr. Chen watched the strategic display with grim satisfaction. Red indicators showed Imperial forces under attack in every major sector. Green markers indicated successful rebel operations. The Empire's vast military was being stretched beyond its breaking point. Phase 5 is ready to begin, Dr. Rodriguez announced. Should I activate the final protocol? Sarah hesitated for a moment. Phase 5 would change everything. Once activated, there would be no going back for either humanity or the galaxy. Do it. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, humanity's most classified installation came online. The Singularity Projector had been built using theoretical physics provided by the Andromedans and exotic matter harvested from the Calthra. It was designed to do something that should have been impossible: create a controlled black hole. The weapon fired not at the Veltar fleet, but at the Empire's home system, 300 light-years away. The gravitational pulse would take years to reach its target, but when it did, it would collapse the artificial wormhole network that held the Empire together. Admiral Zefkar, General Thompson's voice came over the communication system. This is your final chance to surrender. In approximately 18 hours, your home system will lose all faster-than-light communication and transportation. The Veltar Empire is over. You could be part of its death, or part of the galaxy's rebirth. Looking at his devastated fleet and the overwhelming forces arrayed against him, Admiral Zefkar made the hardest decision of his career. For the first time in 3 centuries, a Veltar Imperial fleet lowered its weapons and surrendered. The age of the Empire was ending. The age of the free galaxy was about to begin. 2 years after the Battle of Sol, Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the observation deck of the New Geneva space station, watching as representatives from across the galaxy gathered for the first free Galactic Council. The massive space station orbited Earth at the L4 Lagrange point, built jointly by human engineers and alien craftsmen as a symbol of the new age. Below her, ships from hundreds of worlds filled the space around Earth. Calthera crystal vessels floated alongside Andromedan bioships and human hybrid cruisers. Former Imperial worlds sent their own delegations, eager to join the growing alliance of free species. Hard to believe it's only been 2 years, said Admiral Patterson, joining Elena at the viewport. The older woman moved carefully, still recovering from injuries sustained during the final battle with Imperial holdouts near the Vega system. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we'd lost, Elena replied. If that first engagement had gone differently. We couldn't have lost, Patterson said firmly. Not with the preparation we did. Not with the allies we had. The Empire's mistake was thinking conquest was about superior firepower. They never understood that it's really about who has the most to fight for. Through the quantum communication network, they could monitor the ongoing liberation efforts across the galaxy. The collapse of the Imperial wormhole network had indeed fractured the Empire into isolated sectors, just as humanity had planned. Without faster-than-light communication, the vast Imperial bureaucracy had crumbled within months. Some regions had fallen quickly to local resistance movements. Others required intervention from the Free Galaxy Alliance, the military coalition that had grown out of Earth's original conspiracy. A few hardcore Imperial strongholds still held out, but their numbers diminished each month. Dr. Chun materialized as a hologram beside them, transmitted from her new laboratory on Luna. Ladies, I wanted to give you the final report from the Reconstruction Committee. The statistics were staggering. Over 300 formerly Imperial worlds had joined the Free Galaxy Alliance. Tens of millions of enslaved beings had been liberated. The refugee crisis was enormous, but worlds throughout the galaxy had volunteered to help resettle displaced populations. What about the former Imperial leadership? Elena asked. Most of the High Command were killed when their capital world's defenses collapsed. Those who survived are being held for trial on Andromedan Prime. The Andromedans have the most comprehensive legal system for dealing with war crimes. Admiral Patterson nodded approvingly. And Admiral Zefkar, he's been working with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Apparently, he's providing detailed intelligence about remaining Imperial strongholds. Some of the resistance movements want him executed, but he seems genuinely committed to making amends. Elena had mixed feelings about that. The former Imperial Admiral had surrendered honorably and had indeed provided valuable assistance in mopping up the remaining Imperial forces. But she couldn't forget the worlds his fleets had burned before coming to Earth. The council session is about to begin, Dr. Chin announced. They're going to vote on the proposal for a permanent alliance structure. Through the station's windows, they could see the delegates gathering in the main assembly hall. Humans sat alongside Calthera, Andromedans, Thraxians, and dozens of other species. Many of these civilizations had been enemies for centuries, united now only by their shared experience of Imperial oppression. General Thompson, now serving as Earth's primary ambassador, was addressing the assembly. His words were translated in real time by quantum AI systems that had learned every language in the galaxy. Friends, allies, fellow beings of the galaxy, Thompson began. 2 years ago, we stood alone against tyranny. Today, we stand together in freedom. But freedom is not a destination. It's a journey we must take together. The proposal before the Council was ambitious. A permanent galactic defense alliance with shared technology, coordinated military forces, and a common commitment to preventing any single power from dominating the galaxy again. The hardest part will be enforcement, Elena mused. How do you prevent member worlds from becoming the next empire? Patterson smiled grimly. The same way we prevented the Empire from destroying Earth. Preparation, alliance, and the absolute commitment to never let tyranny take root again. Through the quantum network, they received updates from across the galaxy. On Zirian Prime, former slaves were building the first free government their world had seen in 2 centuries. The Kalthra had begun the slow process of reclaiming their homeworld from imperial terraforming. The Andromedans were sharing their advanced medical technology freely, helping heal the wounds of war. But perhaps the most significant change was in humanity itself. The genetic and cybernetic modifications developed for the war had created a new branch of human evolution. The children of Earth could now survive in deep space, interface directly with quantum computers, and process information at superhuman speeds. They served as living bridges between human and alien technologies. Commander Vasquez, came a transmission from the Council floor. They're requesting your testimony about the effectiveness of integrated human-alien technology. Elena straightened her uniform. As one of the few survivors of the original Phoenix Squadron, her words carried weight with both human and alien representatives. Tell them the truth, Patterson advised, that we're stronger together than we ever were apart. Elena made her way to the Council chamber, passing delegates from worlds she had helped liberate. A young Thraxian pilot saluted her as she passed. Several Andromedan scientists bowed respectfully. Even former Imperial citizens showed gratitude for the freedom the Alliance had brought them. Taking her place before the assembly, Elena looked out at the most diverse gathering in galactic history. These beings had once been enemies, victims, or strangers. Now, they were partners in building something the galaxy had never seen. A civilization based on cooperation rather than conquest. Honored delegates, she began. 2 years ago, humanity sent a warning to the Veltar Empire. We told them not to attack Earth. But our real message was deeper than that. We were telling them that the age of conquest was over. That freedom and cooperation were stronger than fear and domination. She gestured toward the viewports where ships from hundreds of worlds waited in peaceful formation. Today, I stand before you not as a human, not as a warrior, but as a citizen of the free galaxy. Together, we have proven that when diverse civilizations unite for a common cause, no force in the universe can stand against us. The applause was thunderous, expressed in dozens of different ways by dozens of different species. As the sound faded, Elena delivered her final words. The Empire thought Earth was just another world to conquer. They were wrong. Earth was the place where the galaxy learned to fight back. Today, we ensure that no world will ever stand alone again. The vote was unanimous. The Free Galaxy Alliance became a permanent institution, dedicated to protecting freedom and preventing the rise of another galactic empire. As Elena watched the celebration begin, she reflected on humanity's journey from an isolated species to the leaders of a galactic alliance. They had started with a simple warning to stay away from Earth. They had ended by changing the destiny of the entire galaxy. Outside the station windows, the stars shone with new promise. For the first time in centuries, every light in the sky represented not a potential conquest, but a partner in freedom.